Hello everyone, my name is Quad and today I have a very anticipated video for you. This video could have come out like a month ago, but my HDD disk exploded and shattered into a million pieces, as did the script and all the recordings I did for this video. Anyways though, it is finally done, so in this video, we'll go over all the melee weapons you can get in Warframe. Grineer, Corpus, Prime, Event, Dojo, all of them. All of the weapons are farmable in-game without the need of wasting any money or platinum, but some do require quite a lot of effort to get them, and they're only available in a specific time gate. Now, before I continue, I do want to point out a very specific idea of this video and all of the weapons on this list in general. All of the weapons can be used on the steel path. The only thing limiting them are the mods, Warframe abilities, Archon shards, arcanes, and so on. If you ask me, most of the melee weapons can be used in hold and wait style anyway. What I do want to add though is that some weapons do lag the crowd control or the DPS to play solo steel path survival missions, where you get overwhelmed very easily. There are too many variables when it comes to weapon performance, but the mastery rank is a relatively good indication of which weapon is better. It is not the best, but it is a good one. I will only share some of the basic information like the primary status damage they deal, their status chance and critical chance, and I will also show you their traits, which is what really matters in my opinion. Some of the weapons, especially at the beginning, are not that interesting gameplay-wise. They are more or less get, use and forget with no interesting characteristics. So I will not go into too much depth with bow, for example, since it is just a stick that hits stuff. I recommend you look at the wiki if you find a weapon you want to get, since it is much more informative. When it comes to what to look in a weapon, I would look at a few things: critical chance, critical multiplier, status chance, attack speed, range, follow through, heavy attacks, slide attacks, and slam attacks. Most melee weapons have at least one or more of these stats very high, so it is good to mod for those specific stats. If you don't know what any of these stats I mentioned before mean, just hover over them while modding and everything should be explained. I myself also like to look at how many status effects the weapon has on it, or if it does damage over time through slash, which is a huge boost. But what is the most important thing in a melee weapon? I'd say those are the stance mods. Every melee weapon is different and cannot work properly without a stance mod. Stance mods help your weapon in many ways, not just to get more mod capacity, but you can also do different combo attacks with them, which increases your damage, force proc slash and impact status, ragdolls enemies, and so on. What I want to say is that a stance mod can skyrocket the damage your weapon deals from the very beginning. They also change how they attack, so yeah, showing all the different stance mods is not the goal of this video, so I will use the stance mod that fits on the weapon I am showing. I will also make a video showcasing all of the stance mods later on, but yeah, it's uniqueness of the weapons that is the goal of this video. All the weapons will be unmodded, so don't worry about the damage they deal. You can mod each one of these weapons to do extremely high damage when you get all the mods, and maybe even ribbons. But yeah, there are 203 melee weapons since update 37 of Warframe, which means this video will be, oh boy will it be long. We will go over all of the weapons by mastery ranks, starting with 0 and going all the way up to 16. Which is the highest mastery rank requirement for melee weapons. Anyhow, let's now start with mastery rank 0 weapons. Cronus is a sword with low critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored targets. Its performance is pretty average with good attack speed and range. It is a very nice sword to use at the start of the game with no unique traits. So yeah, you can get the blueprint for it by defeating Captain War on Mercury. Skana is the staple sword of Warframe. It has low critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage. It is absolutely amazing in the early game, so I recommend getting it if you just started playing it. But yeah, you can get it from the market, and later on you can also get an Incarnon adapter for it. But that is not all, you can also get an improved version of it later on called Prisma Skana. Dual Skana is a different version of the Skana weapon. Kind of. It has the same stats with low critical chance and okay status chance. It primarily still does slash damage as well. The only major difference between the two, the normal Skana and the dual Skana, is that the heavy attacks hit the enemy 2 times instead of once, and that the slight attacks does 2 times more damage than the normal Skana. Other than that, it is nothing special. You can get it from the market. Jaw Sword is a sword with okay critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage. It honestly is nothing special, with the only difference between the normal Skana and it a slightly faster attack speed. Other than that, the Jaw Sword is just a normal but cool looking sword. You can get it from the Nightwave offerings for Nightwave credits if it is in the rotation. Fang are dual daggers with okay critical chance and good status chance. They primarily deal puncture damage, great against the corpus. The daggers have a good attack speed and also can make you cosplay as Legolas from the Lord of the Rings. I do not know why this is my first association every time I see the Fang daggers, but it is. You can get them from the market and can later on get an upgraded version of them called Fang Prime. Kestrel is a throwable melee weapon with okay critical chance and okay status chance. It primarily does impact damage, great against the Grineer. While the normal attacks are nothing special, the throwable attacks are quite good, with very cool animations and cool explosions at the end to complement it. Since it is a throwable melee weapon, you can also explode it mid-air and cause quite a lot of mayhem with the heavy attack. You can get it from the market. Lecta is a whip with low critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does electricity damage, which is great for crowd control. It might not be the easiest of weapons to get accustomed to, but it is definitely a weapon that can be made very good, very easily. You can get it from the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Secura Lecta. Mark I bow is the crappier version of the normal bow. It is a stick with okay critical chance and okay status chance. Primarily it does impact damage, which makes it great to use against the Grineer, especially if unarmored. It is honestly nothing special, but a nice stick to punch things with, which is something you should practice on some people more regularly. You can get the Mark I bow on the market for credits and can later on upgrade it with the normal bow or the bow prime. Plus you can get an Incarnon adapter for it. Mark I Furax are power gauntlets that are not that good since they are Mark I. They have great critical chance and okay status chance. They have fast attack speed but have one downside, also very low range, which makes them better to use on one enemy at a time and not on multiple enemies. But yeah, they do not have any special effects. You can get them on the market for credits and can later on upgrade with the normal Furax or even Furax Wraith. Plus you can get an Incarnon adapter for it. Silva and Aegis are a sword and a shield that are all fiery and stuff. They have low critical chance and good status chance with, of course, primary heat damage. They are a fun weapon to play with that looks cool while swinging around. They also have a unique trait that will increase your critical chance and status chance by 15% 4 times to the max of 60% with each attack blocked. Additionally, shield bashes will have a guaranteed impact proc on the enemy, which you can only achieve if you have the stance mod on it. You can get Silva and Aegis in the dojo's Steno lab and can later on also get an improved version of it called Silva and Aegis Prime. Sun and Moon are Teshin's twin blades that are extremely good. They have great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. Since you get this weapon very early in the game, it can lead you through the whole game with ease. It is fast, it is reliable, it does a lot of damage, and it makes you ready for the Conclave. You'll get the blueprint for it after you complete the Duviri Paradox quest. It is really good. Siam is a very nice Nikana. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage and puncture damage. It is an all-around great weapon with a very unique trait. Heavy attacks with it will shoot a heat wave directly towards the enemies you are facing, cutting through the enemies and damaging them. It is a very unique sword that is easily one of my favorites. You can get it from the Teshin's Cave in Duviri. Azothane is a two-handed Nikana that is quite unique. It has extremely high critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. It has a very unique trait which will allow Azothane to stab the ground and in effect proc impact procs around all the enemies near you. And it also has a small chance to do heat damage as well. You can get the blueprint for it in the Teshin's Cave in Duviri. Edun is a polearm that is rather expensive. It has very high critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage. Since it is a polearm, it has very nice range and attack speed with very high critical damage, making it perfect for crit builds. It has a very unique perk, being throwable like a javelin, which will make it explode and proc guaranteed impact status procs on the enemies. Sometimes it will also proc blast, but that is a bit more rare. You can get the blueprint for it in the Teshin's Cave in Duviri. Sampotis is a hammer with great critical chance and status chance. It primarily does impact damage, great against the Grineer, and it is a beast of a weapon when it comes to crowd control. When it comes to its unique trait, Sampotis has a very nice one. The slam with it causes 8 explosions in a very long stretch towards the way you're looking at when performing the slam. The explosions will fling enemies around and ragdoll them, making it great for crowd control. You can get it in the Teshin's Cave in Duviri. Argo and Vel are a shield and a mace with high critical chance and great status chance. They primarily deal slash damage, which makes it good against armored enemies. It has a unique trait which will allow it to throw a glaive with one ricochet on heavy attacks, making it a ranged weapon of sorts. The glaive has one more ricochet and does 3 times more damage than the heavy attack. It also has a bit of area of effect damage when it lands, so you'll be able to dish out quite a lot of damage with it. You can get it from the Teshin's Cave in Duviri. And that is it about the Mastery Rank 0 weapons. 0, and there's a lot of good ones in here. But now let's go to Mastery Rank 1 melee weapons. Glaive is a throwable melee weapon with OK status chance and critical chance. It primarily does slash damage on its normal attacks. It is a good weapon to have at the start of the game, but other glaives soon after become much better. It works like any other glaive, with it being throwable. Every bounce will make it explode and deal some damage in that area, and the heavy attack explosions will deal a guaranteed impact proc and possible blast procs, making it great for crowd control in closed off areas. The explosions also inflict self-stagger, so you need to watch out how you use the glaive. You can get the blueprint for it in the Nightwave Cred offerings if it is in the rotation, and can later on also get a Glaive Prime, which is extremely good upgraded version of the normal glaive. Machete is a Grineer machete that counts as a sword and is quite something. It has OK critical chance and OK status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, which makes it great against armored targets. This weapon does not have the best of reputations in the Warframe community for a very good reason. People are not worthy to carry it. This is one of my favorite melee weapons just because it is so simple. It is a rusty sheet of metal with a plasma blade on it. What else could a brother want? You can get it as a random login reward, or you can get it from Cephalon Samaris for 100,000 standing. Later you may also get an upgraded version of the machete, Prisma Machete, or the Machete Wraith. Kama is a Tenno machete that looks eerily similar to a scythe, but it isn't one. It has OK critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage. The main benefit of using Kama is to spread status, since it has the fastest attack speeds of all machetes. However, when we compare it to other melee weapons, it is far below average based on stats alone. You can get it on the market. Dual Kamas is a dual sword that is literally just 2 Kamas with a bit shuffled stats. They have OK critical chance and good status chance, with primary slash damage. They have no special traits and work exactly as you would imagine, swinging around. In my honest opinion, it is not the best, since the normal 1 Kama is on par with it, or even better in some ways, like critical chance and critical damage. However, if you want dual Kamas, you can get them on the market and can later on get an upgraded version called Dual Kamas Prime, a very enhanced version of them. Magistar is a mace that counts as a hammer. It has good critical chance and okay status chance, with primary impact damage. It has no interesting traits or anything, but it is good at hitting things. Its attack speed is a bit slow, but it can be a good weapon to play with, especially later in the game. You can get it by buying its blueprint on the market. Later on you can get an upgraded version of it called the Sancti Magistar, and you may also get an Incarnon adapter for it. And that is it about the Mastery Rank 1 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 2 melee weapons. Dark Dagger is a dagger with low critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does radiation damage, which is quite unique. The weapon itself looks very unique and, due to its radiation damage, works quite differently. However, it has one fatal flaw, which is its stance polarity. The stance polarity makes it incompatible with any of the stance mods. This makes it hard to use and mod due to less mod capacity, however, it can still be outdone with the stance forma and so on. Other than that, the weapon is nothing special. You can get it on the market and can later on get an upgraded version called Rakta Dark Dagger, which is better in every way. Fragor is a hammer with good critical chance and okay status chance. It primarily does impact damage, great against the Grineer. You will get a blueprint for this hammer quite early on, so I recommend you try it out since it is quite fun to use. Its attack speed is quite slow, which is a massive hindrance, but you can easily get these stats up with a couple of early game mods. You can buy the blueprint for Fragor on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Fragor Prime. Sindo is a hammer in a shape of an axe. It has good critical chance and okay status chance, with primary slash damage. It is a slow, bulky weapon that can pack quite a punch, great at dealing with large groups of enemies. It has no unique traits, so smashing or slashing things is the way to go with this one. You can get its blueprint on the market and can later on upgrade to Sindo Prime. Dual Zorin are dual swords that look like axes. They have great critical chance and low status chance with primary slash damage. They also have fast attacking speed, which is always great, and even better, very high critical damage multiplier, which makes it perfect for crit builds. So to everyone that wants to raid, pillage, Illegend Village, we will meet in Valhalla. You can get Dual Zorin on the market. Gram is a heavy blade that looks like a massive plank with neon pink lining. It has okay critical chance and okay status chance with primary slash damage. As a large sword, it is a bit slower with its attacks, but it has a large range, which makes it good at killing groups of enemies. You can get it from the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Gram Prime. Ankyros are fist weapons with good critical chance and okay status chance. They primarily deal impact damage, making it great against the Grineer. They attack very fast but have a downside of short range, which makes it great against single targets if not modded for range. Otherwise, they have no distinctive features or unique traits. You can get Ankyros on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of them called Ankyros Prime. Orthos is a polearm with low critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored targets. I recommend getting Orthos if you are looking for a weapon with long range, since the range is quite good on it. It is not the best of polearms, but it can sure do its job. You can get blueprint for it on the market and can later on get a better version of it called Orthos Prime. Kogaki are fist weapons with good critical chance and OK status chance, with primary impact damage. They are not the best when it comes to fist weapons because of their slow attack speed and of course the range since it is very low. They can be fun to use though since they make you look like you have paws instead of hands. You can literally cosplay as a cat or a tiger, I guess, a bigger cat. You can get them on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Kogaki Prime. Nami Skila are dual swords with OK critical chance and good status chance. They primarily deal slash damage and honestly have no good or bad ring to it. They are just plain good for the mastery rank they are at. They're cool to use on pirate-styled warframes like Hydroid or Sevagoth, but honestly they're just okay. You can get them in the dojo's Tenno lab and can later on get a better version of them called Nami Skila Prime. Amanata is a polearm that is quite unique. I honestly haven't anticipated it being so low in the mastery requirement, but here it is. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. Everything a good polearm or a good weapon needs. Since it is a polearm, it has good range, but the best thing about it is definitely its trait. While using Amanata, you'll be hitting enemies, right? And after you hit the enemies 30 times, the game will throw a 6-sided dice for you, which will give you a buff depending on the number you throw. If you throw 1, you will get a 40 percentage point increase, so additive, to your current critical chance. For example, if it is 24%, it will be increased to 64%. If you roll 2, you will get 30 percentage point increase to status chance. If you roll a 3, you will do 30 percentage points more damage. If you roll a 4, you will get a 1 meter increased range. If you throw a 5, you will get a 20 percentage point melee speed increase. And if you throw a 6, you will get all of the buffs at once. Since the weapon is really good stat-wise and has such amazing buffs, you must think it is hard to get, but you can easily farm it in about an hour by doing the Shrine Defense mission. I recommend getting it since it is extremely good and probably one of my favorite weapons in the game right now, because you know, gambling. And that is it with Mastery Rank 2 weapons. Now let's go to the Mastery Rank 3 melee weapons. Ceramic Dagger is a dagger with OK critical chance and good status chance. It primarily deals puncture damage, great against the corpus. It is honestly nothing special since it is just a dagger that you can swing around. You can get it from the Nightwave cred offerings if it is in the rotation, and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it. Heat Dagger is a dagger that is very nice for beginners. It has good critical chance and good status chance with primary puncture and heat damage. It works exactly like any other normal dagger, but it is better in a small way. Slam attacks deal a forced heat proc besides the usual forced impact proc. It can be quite good just because of the heat damage it has on it from the start, but yeah, there is other things that make it good as well. You can get the blueprint for it from the Nightwave cred offerings. Heat Sword is a sword with low critical chance and good status chance. It, contrary to its name, doesn't do any heat damage on its own, but primarily does slash damage. It does have a unique trait though, that will make it force proc a heat status on the enemies near you after you slam the ground. Because of this, it can be quite good for crowd control. You can get it from the Nightwave cred offerings if it is in the rotation. Pangolin Sword is a sword with okay critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored enemies. It works the same way as any other sword, use it to cut people up, but it also has a unique trait which makes slam attacks proc a forced slash status on the enemies. Because of this, going against groups of armored enemies is definitely the way to go, since you ignore the armor with the slash procs. You can get the Pangolin Sword from the Nightwave cred offerings and can later on upgrade it to a better version called Pangolin Prime, not Pangolin Sword Prime, which is quite interesting. Dual Heat Swords are double swords with low critical chance and good status chance. They primarily do slash damage. They work as any other dual sword with a tiny spin similar to the Heat Sword and the Heat Dagger. When you slam the ground, you will force proc heat status on enemies, making it great for crowd control. Additionally, they also don't have a stance mod polarity, so you will only get 5 additional capacity instead of 10. You can get the blueprint for it in the Nightwave cred offerings. Prova is a corpus sword with good critical chance and good status chance. Primarily, it does electricity damage, good for crowd control. It has very low total damage and most of its stats are quite mediocre, so making this weapon is more or less not needed. It is a skippable weapon if you ask me, unless you're trying to play as John Prodman. John Prodman is a proud sponsor of this channel and you better pay respect to him. Anything else I need to say? Okay. You can get the blueprint for Prova in the dojo's energy lab and can later on get a better version of it called Prova Vandal. Galatine is a heavy greatsword with okay critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored enemies. It has good range and great attack speed for a great sword, which is quite unique. It is nothing special really, but it is very fun to use, especially with the spinning stance. You can get a blueprint for it from the market and can later get a better version of it called Galatine Prime. Cronin are Tenno Tonfas, which not only look cool but also do cool things. They have okay critical chance and good status chance. They primarily do slash damage, which makes them great against armored enemies. Their main benefit is the attack speed, but the other stats are also not bad for a Mastery Rank 3 weapon. You can get a blueprint for it on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it, Cronin Prime. Tipedo is a staff with good critical chance and status chance. It primarily does slash damage, making it great against armored enemies. Compared to other melee weapons, Tipedo excels in its speed and range, with higher both status chance and critical chance than almost any other weapon before it. Otherwise, it works the same way as any other staff. You bonk stuff, and the stuff dies. You can get it on the market and can later on get a better version of it called Tipedo Prime. Anku is a Tenno scythe with good critical chance and OK status chance. It primarily does puncture damage, making it great against the Corpus. It has good attack speed and high range, which is what makes it one of the best weapons in its class. You can get it from the dojo's Tenno lab and can later on also get an Incarnon adapter for it. Ak and Brut are Teal Rigor's personal shield and axe. They have good critical chance and OK status chance with primary slash damage. It works similar to any other shield and sword, but also has a unique trait. The trait is as follows. When blocking attacks that deal elemental damage, you will absorb the attack and store a charge that will deal 17.5% damage of the absorbed attacks. And the amount of charges it can store in total is 4. Now, I don't know how you play Warframe, but I usually don't block. I wonder if you like Ak and Brut because of this unique trait, or because it's Teal Rigor's choice of a weapon. Let me know down in the comments. You can get it in the dojo's Chem Lab and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it, which makes it really good. Anyways, that is it for Mastery Rank 3 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 4 melee weapons. Bow is an upgraded version of the Mark I bow staff. It has OK critical chance and good status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage, making it good against the Grineer. It honestly is nothing special yet again, it has no special traits or anything, it is just a stick to bonk things with. You can get it on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Bow Prime and can get an Incarnon adapter for it. Plasma Sword is a sword with good critical chance and status chance. It primarily does slash damage and does electricity damage on the side, making it great for crowd control against armored enemies. Its main distinctive feature is that it is very slow, even in the group of the slowest weapons in the game, so that is quite something. It of course can be good though if you mod it with some attack speed and some critical damage mods and critical chance mods. You can get it from the Nightwave cred offerings if it is in the rotation. Aether Reaper is a scythe with good critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored enemies. It has good attack speed and range, with all good stats as a complement. So if you can get this early on, it can be quite good. You can get it on the market and can later on get an enhanced version of it called Reaper Prime. Obex are Tenno sparring weapons with great critical chance and OK status chance. Primarily, they do impact damage, making them good against the Grineer. It works exactly the same way as any other fist weapon, with a small, unique trait. Slamming the ground will have a chance to proc electricity damage on enemies, which is not much, but it at least is something. You can get Obex on the market and can later on get a better version of them called Prisma Obex. Nikana is a Tenno blade with good critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored targets. It looks absolutely fabulous, but honestly has no disadvantages or major advantages, compared to other weapons, of course. You can get the blueprint for it from the dojo's Tenno lab, and can later on upgrade with two better versions, called Dragon Nikana and Nikana Prime. Venka are claw weapons with good critical chance and status chance. They primarily do slash damage and have no major advantages or disadvantages compared to the other weapons in this mastery rank. They are cool looking and they make you a Wolverine in Warframe, so I think that's a good reason to, well, get them. You can get them in the dojo's Tenno lab and can later on upgrade to better version of them, Venka Prime. Redeemer is a gunblade with OK critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage, making it good for dispatching armored enemies. Since it is a gunblade, it can shoot at enemies with its combos, and you can also shoot it manually with heavy attacks. The shots do blast damage, which can be quite powerful since, well, blast damage is strong, and they will also stagger and knock down enemies that are close to you. You can get it from the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Redeemer Prime. Boltace is a Tonfa-style weapon with low critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does puncture damage, which makes it great to use against the Corpus. The weapon is honestly nothing special, but it can be taken advantage of to deal damage with status effects due to the high status chance. You can get a blueprint for it on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Telos Boltace. Guandao is a Tenno polearm with very high critical chance and low status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, which makes it good against armored enemies. This weapon is the best if you build for critical damage due to its high critical chance and critical damage multiplier, and since it is a polearm, this weapon also has a good range on it. I remember this weapon bringing me all around the star chart, so I recommend getting it. It is very reliable and I have very fond memories of it. You can get it from the Tenno lab in the dojo and can later on get a better version of it called Guandao Prime. Zoris is a glaive weapon that you should never sell, even if you don't have any more weapon slots. It has great critical chance and good status chance, with primary slash damage. It is a normal glaive weapon with a lot of additional traits. First, I will mention that this is a quest weapon that has a very specific purpose of capturing errant specters. We will not go over that though, what we will go over are the other traits. Slam attacks have a chance to proc electricity status on the enemies. The explosions when you throw Zoris are great since they will proc an electricity and an impact proc on the enemies in its radius with a guaranteed chance. This makes it a good weapon to use against all the enemy factions. And yes, don't get rid of it, you will thank me later. You will get Zoris during the Deadlock Protocol quest. Sadus is a Tenno staff with a good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does impact damage and electricity damage, which makes it good to use as a damage over time weapon. It is honestly nothing special, but it is nice looking if you are into lightsabers, I guess. I'm not really such a huge fan, but holy moly, they do look cool, like smacking things with an LED lamp, just smack, smack. Wow, okay, the videos, the quality, Jesus man. You can get the blueprint for Sadus from the market. And that is it for Mastery Rank 4 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 5 melee weapons. Furaks are sparring weapons, an upgraded version of the Mark I Furaks. They have great critical chance and okay status chance. Primarily they do impact damage, so they are great against the Grineer. The best thing about this weapon are its critical stats with high critical chance and better critical multiplier than many other weapons. However, the range is not that good, like all sparring weapons. You can get the blueprint for it on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of Furaks called Furaks Wraith, and also an Incarnon adapter for it. Amphis is a staff weapon of Grineer prosecutors. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage. The main advantages Amphis has over other weapons is fast attack speed and long range, but it also has an additional trait. The slam attacks will have a chance to proc electricity status on enemies near you, which is not much, but it is at least something. You can get the blueprint for it on the market. Mire is an infested sword with okay critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does toxin damage, which makes it good against shielded enemies. Since it has high status chance, it can be very good with status-based builds. It also has very fast attack speed and range, but it also has an additional trait. Slam attacks will do toxin damage, bypassing shields even if they don't proc the toxin status, which is quite cool. Mire also looks like a piece of bacon and you can't change my mind. You can get it from the dojo's biolab. Dual cleavers count as double swords with high critical chance and okay status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage, which is great against armored enemies. Since it has such high critical chance and also critical damage multiplier, it is the best to mod it exactly for that. The attack speed is not the fastest, but a few mods can change that very easily. You can get a blueprint for them on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of them called Prisma Dual Cleavers. Jat Kitag is a Grineer hammer. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage. It is a bit strange since it has good range and good attack speed plus is a hammer. It also should be built for status or for its unique trait, which is quite straightforward. When slamming the ground, you will have a guaranteed chance to proc blast status on the enemies and will also fling them around, which is very fun to watch. And since it does blast damage, it is quite powerful. You can get it from the dojo's chem lab. Bow Prime is an enhanced version of the Bow Staff. It has great critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage, which is great against the Grineer. It is an all-around great weapon which you can mod for status, critical damage, or, the best, both at once, a hybrid build. It is a good weapon, but sadly, it does not have any additional traits. You can get it by cracking open relics, and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it. Atarax is a Grineer whip weapon with great critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, which makes it great at dealing with armored enemies. It has good critical chance and critical damage, which makes it great for crit builds, but it does have low range, which holds it back kinda. I remember back in the day calling this weapon the Pinky Buster because this used to be a very good weapon everyone used with Maiming Strike mod. But nowadays you don't see it used that much because of other weapons with unique traits. Another pointless little fact about Atarax, the Grineer marking on it translates to Meat Blender, so yeah, it is hardcore. You can get it in the dojo's chem lab. Shiv is a Grineer dagger with OK critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage great against armored enemies. It can do quite high damage even if not modded for it, and the critical damage multiplier is better than most weapons on this mastery rank as well, and on top of these two things, it also has an additional trait of slam attacks being capable to proc heat status on the enemies, but it is not guaranteed. Honestly, Shiv is more of a meme weapon if you ask me. It is something not a lot of people would use, but it still is kinda relevant, I guess. I don't know. I never see anyone use it. You can get it from the Nabarus event when it comes around. Ripkas are Grineer chainsaw claws. They have great critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage. They're honestly not the best weapon when it comes to stats, but can be very good if you have the Amalgam Ripkas True Steel mod, which will make more body parts when enemies are killed. This is why Necros players usually use them. You can get them from the market. Sidon is a Grineer Trident that counts as a polearm. It has good critical chance and great status chance, with primary puncture damage, great against the Corpus. Sidon is quite a good weapon for hybrid builds with good range and base damage. It also has a unique trait which will make slam attacks proc blast damage with a chance, not guarantee. You can get it from the Dojo's Chem Lab and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Vacor Cyanoid. Dark Split Sword can be used as both a heavy blade or a double sword. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary radiation damage. Stat-wise, it is nothing special, with high base damage and long attack range, but it does have a unique trait of being either a heavy blade or a dual sword, depending on the stance mod you put on it. It is a very interesting weapon because of it, because there's no other in the game. You can get it from the Dojo Steno Lab. Okina is a Tenno dual-bladed weapon with good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage and puncture damage, great against armored and corpus enemies. It has no distinguishable features that make Okina better compared to other weapons, but it does have fast attack speed. You can get the blueprint for it in the Dojo Steno Lab, and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Okina Prime. Plus, you can get an Incarnon adapter for it. Ghazal Machete is a machete that is on its own nothing special. It has okay critical chance and very high status chance with primary slash damage. The best thing about it are the status chance and range, but it also has a very special synergy with the Jin Sentinel, and that is Fatal Attraction mod. This is a Sentinel mod for Jin specifically, but when the mod activates, your Ghazal Machete will get a 25% damage increase as corrosive damage, which makes it amazing to use against armored enemies if you have no armor stripping abilities. Additionally, kills with the Ghazal Machete will make the Jin Sentinel make an explosion, dealing corrosive damage every time it activates its Fatal Attraction ability. The damage is not high, but it is masked into corrosive status, which is good. You can get it in the Dojo's Biolab. Orvius is the Teshin's glaive weapon that is quite unique. It has good critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage. It works as any other glaive weapon, but it also has a very unique attack. You can melee with it, you can throw it normally, or you can wind up the throw just a little and throw it at a specific enemy. This will suspend the enemy in the air for 3 seconds. Orvius will then explode and guarantee a proc of cold status on the enemy and all the enemies around it. You will get the blueprint for it by completing the War Within quest and can get its parts from the Kuva Guardians. Kassovar is a Tenno polearm with low critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage great against armored enemies. Kassovar has great range since it is a polearm, and its attack speed is also amazing. Since it has huge status chance and speedy attacks, I recommend you build with status builds in mind, since it is going to take quite an effort to make it good otherwise. You can get the blueprint for it from the market. And that is it for Mastery Rank 5 melee weapons. Now let's continue to Mastery Rank 6 melee weapons. Ether daggers are Tenno daggers with OK critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage, making them great against armored enemies. They are not the best at anything really, since they have lower than average attack speed, low range, and great status chance, but they can definitely be used for the special trait. Stealth attacks with this weapon will deal 900% damage, which is a bit more than the normal 700% damage. Of course, I'm comparing it with the other melee weapons here. The trait is not the best of all traits, but it can certainly factor into your builds. You will get the blueprint for Ether daggers when you complete the Stolen Dreams quest. Dual Ichor is an interesting dual sword weapon. It has great critical chance and good status chance, with primary slash and toxin damage, which is a lot of damage over time. Additionally, it also has a very nice critical damage multiplier and attack speed, which makes it great for hybrid builds. If you do not get this weapon right away, I recommend you get it later on because of the Incarnon adapter. You can get a blueprint for it from the dojo's biolab, and the Incarnon adapter is absolutely amazing for it. Skoliak is an infested whip with good critical chance and amazing high status chance. It primarily does slash damage, making it great for armored enemies. It has very high attack speed and status chance, which makes it great for spreading status over larger groups of enemies. It also has an additional trait of doing toxin damage when slam attacking. These slams will not proc toxin damage, they will just bypass the shields and do damage directly. You can get a blueprint for it from the dojo's biolab. Sero is an energy saw that is actually a polearm. It has OK critical chance and great status chance, with primary electricity damage. It is made for status builds with high base damage, long range, and its status chance. Other than that, this weapon is nothing special besides its backstory. It was an energy saw which the rebels in Sedna region used for weapons after figuring out Sero can cut through things really good. You can get the blueprint for it in the dojo's energy lab. Nami Solo is a Tenno sword with good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage and is, in all honesty, nothing special, but an average weapon at the start. While it is nothing special, you can get an Incarnon adapter for it later on that makes it a lot better. You can get the blueprint for Nami Solo on the market. Karist is a Tenno dagger with OK critical chance and great status chance. It primarily deals toxin and puncture damage, making it amazing against the Corpus. The dagger itself is nothing special, but does have high base damage and is better against the Corpus because of the base toxin damage. Of course, it is better to mod it for status because of the high status chance, so this is exactly what you should do. You can get it from the market and can later on get an enhanced version of it. Enhanced? Jesus. Yeah, better version of it called Karist Prime. Tombow is a Tenno polearm with low critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage, which makes it great to use against armored enemies. It has good range since it is a polearm, and its base status chance is rather high, so if you like to play with status effects, it is definitely good. It has a small unique trait, which is a chance for blast proc on the enemies when you slam the ground. It sadly is not guaranteed though, but it is still good in many other ways. You can get it from the dojo's Tenno Lab. Dex Dakra are double Dakra swords with good critical chance and great status chance. They primarily deal slash damage, making them ideal for armored enemies. It is good for hybrid builds and can get you through the whole star chart, even though it is absolutely not a god tier weapon. It is more or less an average weapon, but great at the start since the mastery requirement is not even real and you can use it even at mastery rank 0. You can get it during the Warframe anniversary event. Dual Raza are battle hatchets that count as dual swords. They have great critical chance and okay status chance, primarily dealing slash damage. The best thing about them is the critical damage multiplier combined with the critical chance, so the crit stats, which allow for perfect crit builds. Other than that, this weapon has no unique traits. You can get the blueprint for it in the dojo's Tenno Lab. Tekko are Tenno sparring weapons with high critical chance and okay status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage. Besides the critical chance, Tekko do not have any amazing stats, but it does have a small trait that is only active when you play as Atlas Warframe. If you're playing as him, your status chance will be increased by 6 percentage points to 16% status chance. This affects the base status chance, so the mods do affect the 16% status chance now, which is quite good. It also allows Tekko to get more build versatility with not just critical builds. You can get the blueprint for Tekko on the market and can later on get a better version of them called Tekko Prime. Cyber is the weapon of the worthy. It has good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does cold status damage, which is quite unique since not many weapons do that. The weapon itself is quite good with great status chance and range. It is a big popsicle you can lug around and bonk enemies with, plus it has a very nice trait to it. After you perform a heavy attack, you will get a flat 50% status chance increase for 4 seconds. This makes it really nice for spreading status. You can get it on the market if you are worthy of crafting it, and additionally, you can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it, which makes it even better and even more divine. Kreska is a corpus survival tool that counts as a sword. It has good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does heat damage, which is quite good since you don't need any status mods on it. It is honestly nothing special though, but an average weapon with slightly higher status chance. Also, it kinda looks weird. I don't know if that's just me. You can get it from the dojo's Energy Lab. Galvacord is a corpus whip with okay critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does electricity damage, making it great for crowd control. Sadly, this weapon suffers from a very slow attack speed, which is the only major down point of it. Other than that, Gavacord can be a fun weapon to play with since it looks very unique. You can get the blueprint for it on the market. Dex Nikana is a Nikana with great critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored enemies. Modding it for critical damage or as a hybrid weapon is definitely a way to go due to all the different stats. Additionally, Dex Nikana also has a unique trait, which is that it will fill up its combo meter a lot faster with 11 hits instead of 20 like other weapons. But it will suffer a penalty of reducing its combo multiplier to a max of times 11, not times 12, like most other weapons. I believe this is a weapon that can easily get you through the whole normal star chart. You can get it during the Warframe anniversary events. Zenestar is a Tenno heavy blade with a very unique feature. It has OK critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does heat damage, making it great at crowd control, but that is not all. This weapon has a very unique feature of dropping discs that last 10 seconds. The discs will spew out fire and affect enemies with heat status that can be combined into other elements. Combo multiplier also works on it, so be sure to equip all the mods that scale with it. In general, the weapon is not the best at all, but it is very unique when thinking of it as a crowd control weapon. You can get it as a daily login reward on your 100th, 300th, and 500th login day as an option. And that is it with all the Mastery Rank 6 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 7 melee weapons. Ether Sword is a sword with OK critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored targets. It works as any other sword with high status chance, capable to spread status a lot easier. It also has a unique trait, that being a guaranteed proc of radiation every time you slam the ground. This makes it great for crowd control, but terrible for defense missions if you are not near the defense objective, since the enemies will be held back, killing each other off. You can get the other sword from the market. Halicar is a Grineer glaive that can be quite fun to play with. It has good critical chance and high status chance. Primarily, it does puncture damage, which makes it great against the Corpus. Halicar itself has great attack speed and status chance, making it great to spread status, but it has very low range, so status will be spread only to the closest enemies, if not modded. It also has a very interesting trait, since it is a glaive and you can throw it, direct hits with the enemies you throw Halicar at will have a 50-50 chance to drop their weapons. It is not the best of weapons out there, but it is definitely very fun. You can get the blueprint for it from the Dojo Scam Lab and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Halicar Wraith. Twin Bazalk is a Grineer dual sword. It has low critical chance but extremely high status chance. Its primary damage type is heat damage, making it nice to do damage over time. Since Twin Bazalk has one of the highest status chances in the game, building for it is definitely the way to go. The weapon itself is nothing special without the mods, which we will not go over in this video, but just so you know, the Rift Strike mod allows you to teleport with the heavy attacks. This is a mod though, so not a real trait. you can get the blueprint for Twin Basalt on the market. Serata is a very nice glaive weapon with good critical chance and high status chance. It primarily does toxin damage, making it good against shielded enemies. While you might think it is just another glaive weapon, it is more or less average, but also has a very good unique trait. That is, the explosions you do with the heavy attack have a guaranteed toxin proc on the enemies. This means destroying large groups is a lot easier than you might initially think, especially if they are shielded enemies. You can get Serata from the dojo's biolab. Lacera is a blade and whip weapon with low critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does electricity damage, which is great for crowd control. Modding Lacera for status damage over time is definitely the way to go, simply because of the 45% status chance, which is one of the highest in the game. Other than that, Lacera is just another weapon with cool animations. It is very fun to use. You can get it from the dojo's Steno lab and can later on get a better version of it called Seti Lacera. The Streza is a Tenno rapier sword with great critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does puncture damage, making it great against the Corpus. Since it is not the best with status chance, it is very nice to use it for crit builds. But other than that, it has no special traits. You can get the blueprint for it on the market and can later on get a better version of it called the Streza Prime. Cost Assist is an infested scythe with OK critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does corrosive damage, making it great against enemies that have armor since it gets reduced. As a weapon, it is fast and has good range, so building for status is definitely the thing you should do. Additionally, Cost Assist has a trait which will allow you to throw acid that will make little puddles on the ground. The puddles will do some damage to enemies, but I haven't seen one proc any status effects on them. The throwable acid does do damage though, so be sure to be caustic. You can get the blueprint for it on the market. Kesheg is the polearm weapon of the Kuva Guardians. It has great critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage, good against armored enemies. Kesheg is extremely good with high range, critical damage multiplier and high base damage, making it an amazing weapon as it is. The only thing that is holding it back though is the slow attack speed, but even this can be improved with mods. You can get the blueprint for it from the dojo's Chem Lab. Hirudo is an infested sparring weapon with a very interesting trait. They have high critical chance and OK status chance. Primary damage they deal is puncture, which makes it great against the Corpus. Going for a crit build on it is definitely advised due to the high critical chance and very high critical damage multiplier, plus the perk it has. The trait or perk in question, every critical strike you deal will heal you for 5% of your health and will also increase your max health for 5%, 5 times to the max of 25%. The health increase will last for 15 seconds and will be refreshed every time you hit a critical hit. You can get the blueprint for Hirudo from the market. Endura is a Tenno rapier with OK critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does puncture damage, making it good against the Corpus. Since it has high status chance, it should also be modded for it. A base damage on it is also quite nice, so doing damage shouldn't be a problem. Sadly though, it has no distinguishing traits or features. You can get it from the dojo's Tenno lab. Dual Keris are dual swords with great critical chance and good status chance. Primarily they deal slash damage, making them great against armored enemies. They also have high critical damage multiplier, making them ideal for crit builds, and high attack speed, making them amazing in general. On top of that, they also have a trait that only works while using Korra, making all heavy attacks you do with them 20% more efficient, which means you will not use up to 20% of your combo multiplier. You can get them on the market and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Dual Keris Prime. Assist is an infested polearm with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily it does viral and impact damage, making it great against the Grineer and the Infested. It has good base damage and range with high status chance to complement it. Sadly though, it has a huge drawback, which are lower critical chance and low critical damage multiplier, and also low attack speed, making it hard to mod if you don't have enough mod capacity. It does look very cool though, like an ancient Q-tip or something. Yeah, whatever. You can get the blueprint for it from the dojo's biolab. Wolf Sledge is a very special and hard to get hammer. It has good critical chance and high status chance with primary impact and slash damage. It has great range and is quite fast, but it also has a very unique trait. You can throw it like a glaive with the radial explosions and all, dealing blast damage. The hammer is extremely powerful on its own, but it can be even better if you mod it, of course, so I recommend getting it if you have the nerves to get it. You can get it by pieces when you call the Wolf of Saturn 6, with a beacon, which you can get from the Nightwave Dread offerings. But yeah, it is quite a grind. Tatsu is a two-handed Nikana with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does radiation and slash damage, making it great for killing armored enemies and causing silliness on the battlefield with the radiation procs. As a weapon, it is nothing special and quite average, but it also has a unique trait. Kills with Tatsu will give it up to 5 charges, 1 per kill. When you slide attack, the charges will shoot out of the blade and attack the nearest enemies, proccing radiation status on them. Oh yeah, and you can also get up to 9 charges if you're playing as a Revenant. You can get the blueprint for Tatsu on the market and can later on get an enhanced version of it called Tatsu Prime. Pennant is a two-handed Nikana with high critical chance and OK status chance. It primarily does puncture damage, making it great against the Corpus. It should be modded for critical stats due to them being the best on the weapon, but you can also take a look at its unique trait, which will make Pennant attack 50% faster when you kill an enemy with its heavy attack. The amount of time is capped at 46 seconds and depends on the combo multiplier. For example, if you have 1 times combo multiplier, you will have 2 seconds of increased attack speed. Combo multiplier of 2 will get you 6 seconds, combo multiplier of 3 times will give you more, to the max of 12 times combo multiplier and 46 seconds. You can get the blueprint for it by killing Grineer captains and commanders in railjack missions. Prisma Machete is a better version of the normal machete. It has good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, making it great against armored targets. It is a bit of a slower weapon, but it has good status chance, coupled with nice range. This makes it great for spreading status effects on the enemies. You can get it from the Barroqueteer if he brings it around, and can later on get a better version of it called Machete Wraith. Ghoul Saw is one of its kind. It has okay critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage, making it good against armored enemies. The weapon may not be the best, but it has one specific stat that is far better than others, which is 100% follow through. This makes it the perfect weapon to use against larger groups of enemies without losing any damage made to them. I don't use it a lot and see it more as a meme weapon, but it is in my opinion one of the most fun weapons in the game. You can get the blueprint for it and the parts from the dojo's Vent Kids Bash Lab. Broken Scepter is the Grineer Elder Queen's staff. It has okay critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage, so you can bonk the Grineer more efficiently. Since it has fast attack speed, long range and high status chance, it is better to go for status spreading builds with this one, but you can also try and use its very unique trait. From the remains of your enemies, you'll be able to extract health orbs from organic enemies and energy orbs from robotic enemies. This is a small but a useful trait at the time you get the Broken Scepter. You will get it after you complete the War Within quest. That is it for Mastery Rank 7 melee weapons. Now let's go to the Mastery Rank 8 melee weapons. Dark Sword is a Tenno sword with low critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does puncture damage, but it also does decent amount of radiation damage. Because of this, it is the best to go for a status build with this one, not really doing much with the critical side of it. In a small addition, Dark Sword also does toxin damage to enemies when using the slam attack. The proc of toxin is not guaranteed, but it will always bypass the shields of the enemies, so it is quite nice in case the enemies recharge their shields. You can get the blueprint for the Dark Sword from Nightwave Red offerings if it is in the rotation. Dual Ether are dual swords with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, they deal slash damage, making them nice against armored enemies. They have more or less average stats in every way, making them ideal for a hybrid build. Other than that, Dual Ether are just two normal, good swords. You can get the blueprint for them on the market. Hate is the Stalker's Scythe, which has high critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, making it amazing against armored enemies. It is honestly a very good weapon to have because it can be modded for pretty much anything. The only bitter point about this weapon is its slow attack speed, which is also not the worst of all weapons in the game and is just slightly below average. Honestly, you should not hate on this weapon. I bestow a blessing on you if you wish to get it, since getting it can be quite a pain. You can get it as a low chance drop when Stalker comes after you during any of your missions. And later on, you can also get an Incarnon adapter for it. It is really good. Prova Vandal is Corpus Prod that is improved version of the normal Prova, with good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does electricity damage, making it great for crowd control. Prova Vandal is great for spreading status due to its high status chance and its slam attacks, which give all enemies a forced electricity proc. It can be quite an interesting weapon to mess around with. I just like it because of the simplicity though, and the John Prodman, you know, he's my sponsor of the channel. Hell yeah. You can stop holding that Supra in my face, okay? Thank you. You can get Prova Vandal from Barrow-Ketir if he decides to bring it around. Ankyros Prime are an improved version of the normal Ankyros sparring gloves in all regards. They have great critical chance and good status chance with primary impact damage. Since they are a sparring weapon, they still don't have the best range, but they do have a very good attack speed, follow-through, and critical stats, making them extremely good for crit builds. They don't have any unique traits though, so yeah, you can get Ankyros Prime by cracking open relics. Dragon Nikana is an improved version of the normal Nikana with improved stats across the board. It has great critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage, good against armored enemies. It is a very nice weapon to play with since it allows for quite a lot of build versatility due to its average stats, which sounds bad, but it truly is not. It allows for a lot of creativity. You can get the blueprint for it from the market and can later on get an improved version of it called Nikana Prime. Sindo Prime is an improved version of the normal Sindo in every regard. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. This makes it absolutely amazing at dealing with armored enemies, but that is not all. It allows you to build for pretty much anything you want, with the hybrid build being the most potent in my opinion. The only bad thing about it is a slightly below average attack speed, which is actually not that bad and can easily be modded around. You can get it by cracking open relics. Prisma Skana is an improved version of the normal Skana with stat increases absolutely everywhere. It has great critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage. Due to its critical chance being far better, I recommend going for a critical build on it, or at least focusing on it, but you can easily squeeze out the status effects as well. You can get it from Barrow-Ketir if he brings it around and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it, making it extremely good. Ninkondi are a Tenno nunchucks with OK critical chance and great status chance. They primarily do impact and electricity damage, making them absolutely amazing at crowd control and spreading status. If I am honest, I do not like this weapon that much because they are nunchucks. Have you ever seen someone actually use nunchucks in a fight? No, you haven't. Well, here you go, they suck. But in all seriousness, they are a nice status-based weapon with average stats across the board. You can get the blueprint for Ninkondi from the market and can later on get an improved version of it called Ninkondi Prime. Dual Kamas Prime are an improved version of the Dual Kamas, with stat increases across the board. They have great critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage, making them good against armored enemies. In my opinion, Dual Kamas Prime are a slightly above average weapon with a good hybrid build being possible in many ways. You can get Dual Kamas Prime by cracking open relics. Myos is an infested blade and whip with great critical chance and great status chance. Its primary damage type is slash, making it great against armored enemies. It is not the best of weapons, but also not terrible. It is just somewhere in between. Great for hybrid builds, with all the stats being quite average. It does have a small additional trait too, which will make slam attacks bypass shields and sometimes proc toxin status on the enemies. It is a blade and whip weapon, so that is quite unique as it is, and it looks absolutely terrifying. So yeah, you should get it at some point to try it out if nothing else. You can get the blueprint for it from the dojo's biolab. Sarpa is a gunblade with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, great against armored enemies. It is interesting to play with, but it can be quite hard to control, at least from my experience. It desperately needs a stance mod on it though, or you will be shooting it only, which can be hard to do when overwhelmed. It can be a fun weapon to play with at times, but in reality, there are better gunblades to play with. People really love to use Shattering Impact mod with it because it can shatter enemy armor down quite easily. Anyway though, it is a type of weapon that can easily be used, but hard to master. You can get the blueprint for it from the market. Rakta Dark Dagger is the Red Veil version of the Dark Dagger. It has okay critical chance and great status chance with primary radiation damage. Rakta Dark Dagger is stat-wise nothing special with high status chance, but it has two very unique traits. The first trait will reduce the range at which enemies see you if you have the Rakta Dark Dagger equipped in your hands. This works great if you don't have any invisibility abilities, but the second trait is far better. Attacking a target that is affected by radiation procs will increase your shield capacity by 5% per shot, to the max of 1200 shields. These shields count as overshields, so it could be interesting to combine with some arcanes that require them to get triggered. You can get the Rakta Dark Dagger from the Red Veil Syndicate. Sancti Magistar is an upgraded version of the normal Magistar with better stats across the board. It has great critical chance and good status chance with primary impact damage. All the stats it has are great, so going for a total hybrid build with this one is definitely recommended. It also has two unique traits. The first trait will make all your heavy attacks heal you and your allies near you by 5% of all damage done, which can easily heal your whole health. The second trait, on the other hand, is also amazing, which is 20% status resistance when holding the Sancti Magistar. You can get it from the new Loka Syndicate and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for it. Secura Lecta is a better version of the Lecta Whip, with good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does electricity damage, great against armored targets. Its critical stats are not the best, so I think it is better to mod it for status spreading and status damage. It has a very unique trait, which allows it to snag wallets from dead enemies, giving you more credits. The amount of credits scales with Mastery rank, with Mastery rank 8 giving you 2 times credit boost, and Mastery rank 18 giving you 4 times credit boost. The Mastery ranks in between give you plus 0.2 to the credit multiplier, so not a lot, but still good. So yes, a very Romanian weapon indeed. You can get it from the Parent Sequence Syndicate. Ochma are Corpus Stonefast with OK critical chance and great status chance. They primarily do electricity damage, making them absolutely great for crowd control. Since they have high status chance and base damage, I suggest going for a status build. Other stats, such as attack speed and critical damage, are quite lower than other weapons on the same level. Because of this, Ochma may not be the best of weapons to use, but it is certainly spectacular, since every attack will also make an arc of electricity with no other than visual effect. You can get the blueprint for it from the market and can later on get an enhanced version of it called Prisma Ochma. Gunsen are Tenno Warfans with good critical chance and great status chance. They primarily do slash damage, making them great against armored enemies. It is a weapon that is fast, but doesn't have the best range. Because of its high status chance, it is best if modded for status chance, but you can also squeeze out a lot of critical hits due to its faster than average attack speed. You can get the blueprint for it from the Dojo Steno Lab, and can later on get an enhanced version of them called Gunsen Prime. Falcor is a Corpus Glaive with OK critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash and electricity damage, making it great for crowd control and armored targets, so the Grineer pretty much. Since it is a glaive, it also works that way. You may melee from the short range, then you can throw it with charge shots that will force impact procs on the enemies, and you can throw it fully charged, which will electrocute the enemies with 100% chance. You may also explode it mid-air, which will cause a guaranteed electricity proc on all of the enemies in the range. It is a fun weapon to play with, but it definitely needs to be modded for status spreading and status damage. You can get the blueprint for Falcor in the Dojo's Energy Lab. Masseter is the signature weapon of Grendel. It has great critical chance and great status chance, with primary impact and slash damage. Since it has great of both critical chance and status chance, a perfect hybrid build is amazing. Its range and attack speed are also not bad, so modding it shouldn't be a problem. The weapon has a unique trait which is active only when playing with Grendel. The trait will make you immune to crowd control status effects when performing heavy attacks, which should aid your survivability. You can get the blueprint for Masseter from the dojo's Tenno lab, and can later on get an upgraded version of it called Masseter Prime. Quasas are the Warfans of Zaku. They have great critical chance and OK status chance with primary slash damage. Their attack speed and range are not the best, plus the status chance is also low, so a critical build is what you should go for here. Quasas also have a unique trait that will make a heavy attack also throw out a group of knives, which will force a slash proc on the enemy. If you're playing with Zaku, you will make the Quasas a lot more accurate with the daggers as well, so you're pretty much playing with a Warfan shotgun or something. You can get Quasas from the 5th tier of Cambion Drift bounties. Venato is the scythe weapon of Caliban. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary puncture damage. It is a weapon with great stats all around, so going for a bit of everything is recommended with a little hybrid build. But yeah, Venato also has a special trait which only works if you're playing as Caliban. The trait will then allow you to gain additional combo count with a chance of 50%, so you will get 2 instead of 1. Great for a playstyle with using a lot of heavy attacks. You can get Venato from the dojo's Tenno lab. Vericress are Tenno Warfans with good critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does slash damage, making it great against the Grineer. Honestly, they are very mid weapon if you ask me, with OK stats, which you can absolutely skyrocket of course, but it will take quite a lot of work. I really don't know what to say about this weapon, but yeah, you can get it from Barrowketeer if the scammer decides to bring them around. Saurfang is the signature weapon of Varuna. It has good critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage, great against armored enemies. The stats on it are pretty average with above average attack speed, so you can build for pretty much anything you want. The best thing about it is its trait. The trait will allow you to group enemies when you slam attack after you have 8 or more combo multiplier. If you are playing as Varuna, you need to have at least 5 of combo multiplier. The enemies will float around your impact zone, will bump into each other, and after that, float away, so the trait may not be the best, but it can be good to combine with explosive weapons. You can get Saurfang in the Conjunction survival missions on Lua, or from Archimedean Yonta on Zariman for Lua Thrax Plasm. Corufel is Citrine's signature weapon with great critical chance and OK status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage great against the Grineer. Because of its high stats, it is better to go for a critical build. However, Corufel has a very unique heavy attack, which makes it a shotgun of sorts. When you use a heavy attack, you will shoot a cloud of heated plasma that will travel through enemies and will do heat damage to them. It is a very good and unique weapon to use. You can get it from Tiana Pass mission on Mars, and can also buy the parts from Otak for Belric and Rania crystals. Masseter Prime is the better version of the normal Masseter. It has great critical chance and great status chance, with primary impact and slash damage. All of the stats are superior to the ones of the normal Masseter, and are perfect for a hybrid build of a little bit of everything. Like the normal version, the Prime version also has the unique trait that only works with Grendel. If you heavy attack, you will be immune to crowd control status effects, which can be quite good, because you won't fail an attack or get staggered or anything. You can get Masseter Prime by cracking open relics. Rumblejack is the Drifter's melee weapon. It has OK critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does electricity damage, which is great for crowd control. Since Rumblejack does great amount of damage and has good status chance, it is great to mod it for exactly that. The slow attack speed and range are holding it back quite a lot though, so yeah, not the best of weapons. The unique trait of this weapon is that the slam attacks will always proc electricity status on the enemies, plus it has a very interesting finisher animation. But other than that, it is just a good status-based dagger. You will get it after you complete the new war quest. Dorklave is a whip and blade of the Gath. It has great critical chance and great status chance with only slash damage. Even though the attack speed of it is a bit under the average, you can easily make it into a hybrid weapon. On top of that, you can also use its special trait, which will give you 2 boosts after you kill 10 enemies. The first boost is increased follow through, which will make all damage you deal in your range 100% damage. And to top that off, you will also get a boost to after mod status chance, which will be doubled. So yeah, this can be quite powerful. The boosts will only work for the next 10 attacks, which may not sound like a lot, but you can easily kill 10 or more enemies while the boosts are active. Additionally, if you're using the Gath, you can heal up for 6 health per active status effect on the enemy you hit. It is a very engaging weapon to play with, so I definitely recommend it. You can get the blueprint for it from the Gath's Hollow in the dojo. And that is it with Mastery Rank 8 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 9 melee weapons. Prisma Dual Cleavers are an upgraded version of the normal Dual Cleavers, with great critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage, great against armored enemies, and since their stats are more or less great, I recommend going for a hybrid build with them. There is really nothing special about these weapons though, other than having great stats, but low base damage. You can get Prisma Dual Cleavers if Barokithir decides to bring them around. Legion is an infested polearm with OK critical chance and very high status chance. It primarily does slash damage, great against armored enemies, but that is not all. It also does a lot of toxin damage. Legion has a unique trait that will make its attacks deal plus 100% toxin damage, and it will also increase its movement speed by 15% each time you get a status effect on an enemy. The buff lasts for 6 seconds but cannot be refreshed while active, which is still not that bad. It is a weapon that can dish out a lot of damage. you can get the blueprint for Legion on the market. Furak's Wraith is an upgraded version of the normal Furak's gauntlets. They have great critical chance and OK status chance with primary impact damage. They are a weapon with high speed, low range and very high critical chance, so I would go for a critical build. You may also build around its unique trait, which will give it an initial combo count of 20, making it easier to do more damage or do heavy attacks. You can get it from the Plains of Eidolon Tier 5 bounties. Heliocore is a hammer-type weapon with high critical chance and OK status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage, which is great against the Grineer. It is a great crit-based weapon with a bit of slower attack, but it is a good weapon to use when you need to scan enemies. The unique trait of Heliocore is that it will scan enemies you kill if you have Codex scanners equipped in your inventory. Other than that, it will act as a normal, boring hammer. You can get it from Cephalon Semaris with his standing, and can later on get an enhanced version of it, the Cyanoid Helicore. Krochkur is a Grineer sword with great critical chance and good status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, making it great against armored enemies. Even though Krochkur is not the fastest of all swords, it is definitely a good weapon to mod for critical stats. The sword does not have any unique traits or anything, but it is still quite nice and good. You can get the blueprint for it on the market. Volnus is Gara's signature weapon. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage, which is perfect for armored enemies. I recommend going for a status build with this one since it is fast and has great status chance. If you're playing with Gara, you can also use its unique trait, which will make all slam attacks deal additional 100% damage. Now that's what I call slamming. You can get Volnus from the market and can later on get an enhanced version of it called Volnus Prime. Kurudo are Grineer power fists with great critical chance and low status chance. They primarily deal impact damage, great against the Grineer. The main strong point of the Kurudo are the high critical stats. Other than that, its stats like attack speed, range, status chance, and base damage are lower than others. As a weapon, it is an easy skip, especially because how rare it is and how hard it is to get. You can get it from the Thumper Bull or Thumper Doma types of Thumpers. Either the Tusk with 2.5% drop chance or 5% drop chance depending on the rarity of the Thumper. Good luck! Pathocyst is an infested glaive with good critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does viral damage, which is great to use against almost every faction. Because of its low attack speed and short range, the Pathocyst is not the best, but it can easily perform other roles. The easiest way to build it is definitely for spreading status, especially viral damage, since the heavy attack explosion has a guaranteed proc of viral on every enemy it hits. Additionally, it can also be used for crowd control. Each attack with the Pathocyst has a chance to spawn a maggot, which will latch onto an enemy and keep it busy for a while. The enemy will try to defend itself and then the maggot will explode in just a few seconds. It is a unique weapon that can be quite hard to master, and if you want it, you can get it from the Zealoid Prelate boss on Deimos. Keratinos are infested claw weapons with OK critical chance and great status chance. They primarily do slash damage and also have some viral damage on them. The high status chance makes it great for status builds, but you first need to increase its attack speed and also its range, which can be increased with its unique trait. Once you reach 12 times combo multiplier, you can perform a heavy attack, which will increase the range of your attacks by 2.8 meters for 180 seconds. I think you should get Keratinos just because of the way they look, because the long nails are just monstrous. You can get Keratinos claws from the Father at Necrolisc. Vastilok is a Grineer blade pistol with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, making it perfect for armored enemies. It is one of the best gunblade weapons damage-wise, but not stat-wise. With its shooting attacks, it shoots shots of 9 pellets, which can be quite powerful. There are many ways to build gunblades, and status-based ones are definitely good, but people love to use the Shattering Impact mod on it, on Vastilok specifically, to strip enemy armor. You can get Vastilok if Barrow-Kitir the Scammer decides to bring it around. And that is it for Mastery Rank 9 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 10 melee weapons. Reaper Prime is an enhanced version of the Aether Reaper with great critical chance and status chance. Its primary damage source is slash damage, great against armored enemies. This weapon is very versatile due to all its stats being very good. You can easily go with a hybrid build with a little bit of everything with this one. The only bad thing about it is the lack of unique traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Fang Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Fang daggers. They have great critical chance and status chance with primary puncture damage, making them great against the Corpus. Because all of its stats with the exclusion of range are great, it is a perfect weapon for a hybrid build of a little bit of everything. Sadly though, Fang Prime has no unique traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Dakra Prime is an upgraded and solo version of the Dex Dakra. It has high critical chance and good status chance with primary slash damage. If building it, going for critical stats is definitely a must because they are the highest. Its other stats are also average, which is not bad at all, but as many other Prime weapons, it has no additional traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Glaive Prime is an improved version of the normal Glaive, which caused the Warframe markets to crash many times. It has great critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage. While its range is not that good, its other stats, from attack speed to critical multiplier, are great. One thing people love about Glaive Prime in particular are guaranteed slash and impact procs on explosions. with occasional blast procs if you use the heavy explosion. Because of these slash effects, people flock to it every time it comes out. It is very funny to watch Reddit those days. You can get Glaive Prime by cracking open relics. Broken War sounds like a bad weapon since it is broken, but that is far from the truth. Broken War has a very high critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. Stat-wise, this weapon is an absolute beast, since it has everything a good weapon needs. Slash damage, great critical stats, great status chance, and average speed. This weapon can easily bring you through the whole star chart and even the steel path with ease. Plus, its stats allow you to build in many ways, from status to critical, hybrid, and so on. You will get the Broken War when you complete the second Dream Quest. War is the heavy blade of Stalker. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage. The stats of the weapon are great, with small exception of slower than average attack speed. I, and probably other people in the community, do not recommend you get this weapon if you do not have the Broken War on standby. Why, you may ask? Well, it is slow and does impact damage as its base damage, which has no damage over time and is not the best against armor. You may get War by getting it from the Stalker when he haunts you, but a burnout disclaimer, do not try to farm it. You may die of boredom during the process. Shaku are Tenno nunchucks with good critical chance and great status chance. The only damage they do is impact, which is great against the Grineer. They have great attack speed and status chance, with some improvement needed on the range, and you have a great status build. However, only impact damage really brings Shaku down in my opinion. However, you may use the Shattering Impact mod so you can lob down the enemy armor. You can get it from the dojo's Tenno lab. Prisma Obex is an upgraded version of the normal Obex fist weapons. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage. Since it is great in almost every way, you can mod it for pretty much anything. Prisma Obex doesn't have any unique traits, but it can still have a chance to shock enemies with electricity damage if you slam the ground. So yeah, another weapon with no unique trait, but great stats. You can get it from Barrow-Keteer if he brings it around. That scammer piece of shit. Arca-Titron is a Corpus Glory Hammer. It has great critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage great against the Corpus. While Arca-Titron has one of the worst attack speeds in the game, it is also a weapon people usually use to slam because of its unique trait. You can boost Arca-Titron's slam attacks by killing enemies. After you kill 5 enemies, you will do 250% more slam damage, and you will get +2 range, so yeah, that is quite a lot. To juice it up, you will have to kill enemies, and every kill will add a 5th to the increased stats. In addition, any slam attacks with it also have a forced electricity proc, so yeah, it is quite good. You can get the blueprint for it from the market. Twin Crockcore are dual Crockcore blades that are very different from the solo version. They have good critical chance and great status chance, with primary slash damage. While the solo version is focused on critical stats, the twin version here has more focus on status chance, with still decent critical stats. The attack speed is still not that good, but it is not as slow as on the solo version, so yeah, it is a reliable weapon to use. You can get it from the dojo's chem lab. Kogaki Prime are an improved version of the normal Kogaki sparring weapons. They come with good critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, they do impact damage, which makes it good against the Grineer. Compared to the normal Kogaki, Kogaki Prime are better in all stats, with one exception: worse critical stats. So they have to be built for more status damage or status spreading. Their attack speed is not the best still, but its base damage is more than doubled, so it is a massive improvement. Sadly, they have no unique traits to top them off though. You can get Kogaki Prime by cracking open relics. Destreza Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Destreza Rapier. It has great critical chance and good status chance, with primary puncture damage great against the Corpus. Compared to the normal Destreza, Destreza Prime has almost all of its stats increased, with the exception of slightly slower attack speed. Its critical stats are really good, so I recommend going for them the most. It has no special traits, but looks very cool. If you want to play as one of the Musketeers, for example, you now can. But first you need to get Destreza Prime by cracking open relics. Paracesis, the Sentient Slayer, is Balas's signature weapon. It has great critical chance and good status chance, with primary slash damage. Since this is a heavy sword, it has slightly slower attack speed, but great other stats, so you can go for pretty much any build you want. In addition to all of the great stats, it also has a unique trait, which allows it to be upgraded to rank 40 instead of 30, with additional 5 formas. Once you get to rank 40, it will get a void damage trait that will allow you to kill sentient enemies with a lot more ease. You will get the blueprint for Paracesis once you complete the Chimera Prologue. Cobra and Crane are Baruch's sword and shield. They have okay critical chance and great status chance with primary impact damage. They are not the best of weapons out there, but they do have very high status chance, which can easily be utilized in some status-based builds. And yes, Cobra and Crane also have two unique traits. The first one is quite simple: if you jump and attack real quick, you'll throw the shield, which will knock down the enemies. The shield will usually go towards the closest enemy to you, so playing long range with it is not the best. On the other hand though, its unique trait also extends if you are playing with Baruch. If you do, the enemies you hit will go to sleep for 2 seconds. Now that is an ability I need someone to have, to bonk me so I can go to sleep. Anyways, you can get the blueprint for Cobra and Crane on the market and can later on get a better version of it called Cobra and Crane Prime. Redeemer Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Redeemer. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage on swinging attacks and blast damage on its shooting attacks. It is one of the best gunblades currently in the game if you want to build for status chance. Of course, it is good with everything else as well, but we have another gunblade that is a bit better in that regard. We will look at it right away. Redeemer Prime just looks a lot cooler if you ask me. You can get it by cracking open relics. Stropha is the weapon I just mentioned before with the Redeemer Prime, and yes, it is another gunblade. It has great critical chance and good status chance, with primary damage on swing attacks being slash and impact on shooting attacks. Compared to Redeemer Prime, Stropha is better at delivering more damage due to its better critical and damage stats. However, it is worse if you want to do damage over time with slash status or anything else. It is extremely good to use with the Shattering Impact mod for armor stripping. You can get Stropha's blueprint from the Jackal boss fight on Venus, and its parts from the Granum Void, for which I wish you good luck. Typedo Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Typedo. It has great critical chance and status chance with primary slash damage. Stat-wise, it is one of the best weapons in the game, with the only terrible stat being low base damage. It is a great weapon in any other sense. Critical stats, attack speed, attack range, status chance. Everything is great, but it has no unique traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Ekheim is an Entrati hammer with great critical chance and OK status chance. It does only impact damage, which is not the best, but great against the Grineer. If we look at the stats, it has bad attack speed, terrible follow-through, and low status chance compared to other weapons. However, it does have a very easy-to-use unique trait. When using a heavy attack, it will deal 80% more damage with 20% more attack speed over the next 8 seconds. This means a nice heavy attack build is something that can be very useful with Ekheim. You can get it from Bird 3 at rank 3 of the Cavia Syndicate. Harmony is the signature scythe of Jade. It has good critical chance and very high status chance with primary puncture damage, great against the Corpus. Its stats allow it to be built for pretty much anything, so that is what you should go for, pretty much anything. Harmony also has a unique trait that will condense all status over time effects on an enemy into one when you hit it with a heavy attack. Additionally, it will also increase the duration of damage over time effects by 30% for all the allies near you if you kill an enemy with a heavy attack. Status duration is quite often overlooked in many builds, so I suggest you look into it a bit more with this very particular build. You can get Harmony's blueprint and its parts from the Brutus Ascension mission on Uranus, or by buying it from Ordis in the Drifter's camp for vestigial motes. Sigma and Octantis are shield and sword with great critical chance and OK status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage, great against armored enemies. Its stats, with the exception of status chance, are great, so you can build for pretty much anything. Sigma and Octantis also have a unique perk, which will make you throw the shield if using melee mid-air. Whoever the shield hits will be exposed to finisher attacks for a couple of seconds, so you can use finisher attacks with this build, which is quite good. I absolutely love this weapon because it looks absolutely amazing. And if you want to get it, you can get Sigma and Octantis as one of the possible weapons on the 300th, 500th or 700th day of login. So you need to play quite a lot. And that is it with Mastery Rank 10 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 11 melee weapons. Machete Wraith is an improved version of the Prisma Machete. I will be honest, it is my favorite weapon in the game. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. The stats of Machete Wraith are pretty average and you can use them in any kind of build you want. It has the unique trait of looking like a plank which terrifies min-maxers. Otherwise, it is just a normal sword. You can get it from Barrowkit here if he brings it around. Cyanoid Heliocore is a different version of the Heliocore hammer. It has great critical chance and okay status chance with primary impact damage. Stat-wise, Cyanoid Heliocore has slightly more attack speed than normal Heliocore and is great to use with critical builds. Stat-wise, Cyanoid Heliocore has slightly more attack speed than normal Heliocore and is great to use with critical builds. It still has its unique trait of scanning enemies you kill with it if you have the codex scanners equipped in your gear, but it has an additional trait as well. Kills with heavy attacks will make the enemy you kill a spectral ally of yours for 30 seconds. You can only have one spectral ally at a time, which is not a lot, but it is still good, so other enemies can attack it instead of you. Quite unique. You can get the Cyanoid Heliocore from the Cephalon Suda Syndicate. Telos Boltace is an upgraded version of the normal Boltace with good critical chance and great status chance. Primarily it does puncture damage, which makes it great against the Corpus. Its stats are great, but its unique trait is even better. While having Telos Boltace equipped, your parkour velocity will increase by 20%. In addition, the slide attacks will do a very interesting thing. The first slide attack will group up enemies and stagger them. This will trigger a timer of 8 seconds. While the timer is on, you can use the slide attack again, which will live the enemies you hit. The ability then has a short cooldown of 5 seconds, and after that, you can do it again. It is a fun weapon to use, but not very useful if you ask me, since hitting the floating enemies is a bit harder. You can get it from the Arbiters of Hexis Syndicate. Vacor Sidon is a better version of the normal Sidon. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary puncture damage. It is quite an average, balanced weapon that can be used to build in any way you want, but it also has two unique traits. The first one is quite simple. You will get 50% knockdown resistance while you have the Vacor Sidon equipped. The second one, however, is quite different. Blocking enemy attacks will generate blind charges. When you have 15 accumulated blind charges, you will be able to blind the enemies in a similar way as Excalibur's second ability if you block and use the heavy attack. So yeah, this weapon kind of makes you an Excalibur, but the witch version of it, so, you know, I guess, it's good. You can get it from the Steel Meridian Syndicate. Jat Kusar is a Grineer blade and whip with great critical chance and good status chance. It primarily does heat and impact damage, great against the Grineer with a bit of crowd control. Stat-wise, it is not the fastest of weapons, but that can easily be modded away. Jet Kusar is really good with critical builds because of its critical stats, but other than that, it is just a fiery sword with a whip on the other end. You can get the blueprint for it from the dojo's chem lab. Namiskila Prime is a better version of the normal Namiskila with stat improvements across the board. Namiskila Prime has great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. While the base damage is not the best, attack speed is one of the fastest in the game. Additionally, all the stats make it a great hybrid weapon since you can go for a little bit of everything to make it amazing. Sadly, it does not have any additional traits to make it unique, so great stats are what we have to settle with. You can get Namiskila Prime by cracking open relics. Arum Spinosa is an infested Warframe with low critical chance and very high status chance. Primary damage of it is slash, which is great against armored enemies. Arum Spinosa doesn't have great critical chance and range, so focusing on status damage and status spreading should be your goal here, especially due to its unique perk. The unique perk will make it easy to spread status since heavy attacks will also spread toxin status with needles that shoot through the Warframes. The toxin status is not guaranteed, but it can be quite amazing for dealing extra damage. You can get Arum Spinosa by doing the Arcana Isovault bounties. Pulmonars are infested nunchucks with good critical chance and great status chance. They deal primary impact damage, great against the Grineer. To top that off, Pulmonars also have innate viral damage, which is great for spreading it to the enemies. Build-wise, you can go for pretty much anything since all these stats are great. They also have an additional unique trait which extends the normal combo duration of 5 seconds to 9 seconds. Some people would say that is not that good, but damn does it make a difference for someone like me that doesn't play a lot with melee weapons. You can get Pulmonars from the Isolation Wall bounties on Deimos. Skiajati is the Nikana of Excalibur Umbra. It has good critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. It is more or less an average weapon with great stats in every way, plus an additional trait. The trait will allow you to become invisible for 5 seconds each time you perform a finisher attack. I know, not what you would expect, but it can still be quite fun since you can combine it with many other weapons, such as Zakti's secondary weapon for example, which opens enemies to finishers. You can get Skiajati by completing the Sacrifice quest. And that is it for the Mastery Rank 11 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 12 melee weapons. Orthos Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Orthos, with stat increases left, right and center. It has great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. Stat-wise, this weapon is absolutely great, which allows you to build for pretty much anything. You can go for a status build, hybrid one, or maybe a pure critical one. There are many choices. Sadly though, it has no unique traits. You can get Orthos Prime by cracking open relics. Nikana Prime is an upgraded version of the Dragon Nikana, with great critical chance and status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage, great against armored foes. It is a good weapon with good stats, but nothing unique about it. It is fast, it has reach, it is deadly, it has good critical stats and status chance, which makes it just a great weapon. You can get it by cracking open relics. Fragor Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Fragor. It has very high critical chance and good status chance with primary impact damage. Because of its great critical stats, a critical build with it is definitely a good thing to go for, but you can easily make a hybrid build with it as well. While its attack speed is not the best, it does have a unique trait which will make it start with 30 initial combo. This is quite nice since you get additional damage multiplier right away, making it easier to kill things. You can get it by cracking open relics. Silva and Aegis Prime is an upgraded version of the Silva and Aegis. It has great critical chance and great status chance with only heat damage. It has absolutely massive base damage and great stats, with the only exclusion being attack speed, which is quite low. Same as normal Silva and Aegis Prime also has a unique trait that will increase your critical chance and status chance by 15%, 4 times to the max of 60%, each time you block an attack. Additionally, shield bashes will also have a guaranteed impact proc on the enemy, which you can only achieve if you have a stance mod on it. It looks quite unique and can be quite fun to play with, so you can get it by cracking open relics. Tekko Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Tekko sparring weapons. They have great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. All of the stats of Tekko Prime are really good, with the exception of attack range. That is why they can be used for a perfect hybrid build if you like sparring weapons. Tekko Prime, like its normal version, also has the same unique trait, which is active only while using Atlas. The trait will increase base status chance by 6%, making it an even better weapon. Anyways though, you can get Tekko Prime by cracking open relics. Seti Lacera is an upgraded version of the normal Lacera Whip and Blade, with great critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does electricity damage, making it great for crowd control. Its stats are above average, with status chance being one of the highest in the game. Because of this, going for a status build or a hybrid build is really good. Added electricity element also makes it fun to use, so getting Lacera is something you should definitely do. You can get it from the Nabarus event during October, or many other operations that will happen in the future. Charis Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Charis Dagger. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash, toxin, and puncture damage. Because of the great distribution of 3 status types on it from the beginning, it is a nice weapon to use with status builds. However, the builds you can make with it are quite versatile. From all the good stats I mentioned, Charis Prime does have a thorn in its heel sadly, that being its very slow attack speed compared to other weapons of Warframe. Other than that, these stats are absolutely amazing. You can get it by cracking open relics. Guandao Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Guandao, with stat increases absolutely everywhere. It has high critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. The stats it has are pretty great, centered more on critical builds, but you can easily make a great hybrid build with it. It is a weapon that doesn't let down in my opinion, but it does have no additional traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Hespar is a heavy scythe of Thrax's enemies. It has great critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. It is a beast of a weapon that makes you look like a Green Reaper. Its stats allow it to be good in any scenario, with a tiny problem it has, that being low follow-through. This means it is a bit better against individual enemies, but honestly, it is an absolute beast on the Steel Path. You can get the blueprint and the parts for it from the Zariman bounties. Prisma Ochma is an upgraded version of the normal Ochma Tonfas. They have high critical chance and great status chance with primary electricity damage, great for crowd control. Its stats are more suited for critical builds, but you can try and squeeze out the status chance as well. Prisma Ochma doesn't really have any unique traits of substance, but its attacks do make arcs of electricity out of it, which is purely visual. You can get Prisma Ochma if Barukitir decides to bring it around from his safari in the void. Okina Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Okina with great critical chance and good status chance. They primarily do slash damage, making them great against armored enemies. They have absolutely great stats, with the only one needing more care being range. Other than that, Okina Prime have no unique traits. You can get them by cracking open relics, and can later on get an Incarnon adapter for them, making them one of the most powerful weapons in the game, in my opinion. Gunsen Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Gunsen Warfans. They have great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. As for modding, these weapons are great for anything, with some attention needed on the range. They are fast, have great critical stats and exceptional status chance, so slashing around shouldn't be a huge problem. You can get them by cracking open relics. Kuva Shieldegg Hammer is the only Kuva melee weapon in the game, with great critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does puncture damage. Since it is a Kuva weapon, you can also get your Progenitor Warframe's damage on it, which depends on what you want to use it for. But anyways, the unique trait of Kuva Shieldegg is quite small. When you slam the ground, you will knock down the enemies, but they will not be affected by impact procs, so yeah, just knock down, I guess. On the contrary, slamming the ground again will make them ragdoll, which is always fun to look at. But yeah, these stats are what this weapon is really used for. You can get it from your Kuva Lich. And that is it with Mastery Rank 12 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 13 melee weapons. Galatine Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Galatine. It has great critical chance and status chance with primary and more or less only slash damage. In my opinion, it is one of the goodest weapons in the game stat-wise, with good attack speed, good range, good critical stats, and so on. It is just a good weapon to use with no additional traits. You can get it by cracking open relics. Cronin Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Cronin. It has great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. Its stats are great to use for pretty much any build that comes to mind. If you want to go for more crit or more status, it is for you to decide. It is an amazing weapon that also has a tiny unique trait. While having Cronin Prime equipped, your parkour velocity will increase by 10%, which is quite nice. The community absolutely adores this weapon, so I think you will like it as well. You can get Cronin Prime by cracking open relics. Vitrissa is Nihil's signature heavy blade with great critical chance and high status chance, plus primary slash damage. The stats of Vitrissa are absolutely golden, with the only small thing being a rather slow attack speed. However, Vitrissa has two very unique traits. The first trait is innate 10-second combo duration, which is quite nice. The second trait, however, requires more active play. While in midair and blocking, you will be able to shoot a glass shard that will coat enemies in quite some area into glass. These enemies will stay in place for some time, but you can also shatter them. By jumping and using heavy attack, you will make a glass shockwave that will make the enemies coated in glass explode and get back up. It is a weapon you can use for quite a lot of crowd control over small areas. You can get it by beating Nihil in his oubliette, which you can get from the Nightwave cred offerings. Halicar Wraith is an upgraded version of the normal Halicar. It has great critical chance and high status chance, with primary puncture damage. It works in exactly the same way as its normal counterpart. It has a bit shorter range but quick attack speed and very high status chance. Since it is a glaive, you can also throw it, with radial explosions having a chance of blast damage. In addition, Halicar Wraith also has the same unique trait as the normal Halicar, that being a 50% chance to disarm the opponent you hit with your throwable attack. It is a bit of a trolly weapon, which I really like, so if you want to get it, you can get it from Barrowketeer if he brings it around from his safari in the void. Korum is the signature weapon of Archon Boreal. It has great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash and impact damage, making it perfect against the Grineer. While its stats are great in every single way, allowing for versatile builds, the best thing about this weapon is its unique trait, or unique attack. Attacking while blocking will trigger a special attack, which will slam the ground and proc a forced electricity proc on the enemies, while also knocking them down. But that is not the end. When you pull out Korum from the ground, you will ragdoll the enemies and deal a guaranteed slash proc on them. All these guaranteed procs make this attack really good, but you also have to take into account that you will be very immobile while performing it. You can get Karum by doing the armor bounties after completing the new war quest. Neferi are dual blades of Archon Amar. They have great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. Its stats are great in almost every way, with the only thing needing improvement being range. Neferi also have a very unique neutral attack combo which will do a few slashes first and will then make you vomit a few fireballs. The fireballs have quite a range and they do travel through a few enemies at a time, so they can be a good way of spreading status. You can get Neferi from the armor bounties after you complete the new war quest. Verdilak is the whip of Archon Nira. It has high critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. All its stats make it a very versatile weapon build-wise, since you can go for critical stats or status chance. The best thing about it though is its unique attack, which will make it throw energy balls at enemies. The energy balls and the attacks you perform while throwing them deal toxin damage instead of its usual status effects. So the playstyle can be quite unique. You can get it from the armor bounties after you complete the new war quest. Slaytra is Kao's signature weapon with great critical chance and high status chance, plus slash damage. Its attacks may not have the fastest attack speed and the critical stats may not be the best, but its status chance is definitely what you should go for, because it has a very good unique perk. All the slash effects you inflict with Slaytra will have double the usual duration. Because of this, Slaytra is a very good damage over time weapon against armored enemies, so I recommend trying it out. You can get it from Kao's Garrison after reaching rank 2 with it. And that is it for Mastery Rank 13 melee weapons. Now let's go to Mastery Rank 14 melee weapons. Venka Prime are an improved version of the normal Venka claws. They have high critical chance and great status chance with primary slash damage. They have very nice stats and can be good very easily with any build you want. In addition, Venka Prime also has a unique trait which allows it to go to combo multiplier of 13 times. This is great not only from the damage part, but also for the scalable mods part, especially Weeping Wounds for status chance and Blood Rush for critical chance. So yeah, it can be very powerful when modded for the multiplier. You can get it by cracking open relics. Gram Prime is an improved version of the normal Gram Sword. It has high critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. Building it is a piece of cake, since its stats are absolutely amazing. The only one that needs some extra attention is the attack speed, which is quite slow, but it is manageable. Sadly, it does not have any additional unique traits, but its stats speak volumes here. You can get Gram Prime by cracking open relics. Ninkondi Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Ninkondi nunchucks. They have great critical chance and high status chance with primary electricity damage. Stat-wise, you can go for either a critical build or a status build, but the best one is definitely a hybrid one with a little bit of everything. They have no additional unique perks, but that is what we get with amazing stats. You can get Ninkondi Prime by cracking open relics. Pangolin Prime is a massively improved version of the normal Pangolin sword. It has great critical chance and high status chance with primary slash damage. While Pangolin Prime has great stats in every way, shape or form, since you can mod it in every way you can imagine, it also has a unique trait that can be quite powerful. Pangolin Prime will have a guaranteed chance to proc slash status effect on the enemies, making it great to use against groups of armored foes. You can get it by cracking open relics. Volnus Prime is an improved version of the normal Volnus Hammer with great critical chance and high status chance. It primarily does slash damage. You can mod this weapon in many ways, with the best one being status focused due to a bit lower critical multiplier. It also has a unique trait which will only work if you're playing as Gara, that being that slam attacks will do double the damage. And that is it. You can get Volnus Prime by cracking open relics. Tenet Agendas is a corpus shield and hammer with great critical chance and status chance. Primarily, it does electricity damage, but you also get another predetermined status damage added to the total when buying the weapon. Its builds can be very versatile, ranging from status, critical, and hybrid. In addition to the good stats, Tenet Agendas also has a great, unique trait, with heavy attacks shooting a plasma wave that go through enemies, spreading status and dealing some damage. In addition, the enemies that are closer to you will also be affected by impact status, great for crowd control. You can get Tenet Agendas from Ergo Glass, but be sure to wait for the status effect you want. Tenet Grigory is a corpus scythe with great critical chance and very high status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage. Of course, since it is a Tenet weapon, it also gets a predetermined status damage, which you can choose when buying it. Because Tenet Grigory's critical stats are not the best, I recommend you focus on a status build with this one. However, you can still make it viable for Steel Path even if you're going full critical. It does have two unique traits, one of which is quite interesting. The less interesting one is that combo multiplier will not change if you holster the weapon, which is quite huge. And the second one is that performing heavy slide attacks will spawn a disc that will explode after some time. The amount of time and the range of its travels are affected by combo multiplier, so the longer it is there, the more damage it will deal and more status effects it will spread. After some more testing, I also found out that performing 2 heavy attacks in a row will also summon the disc, which can be quite interesting. You can get it from Ergo Glass with your desired status effect from the selection. Tenet Livia is a two-handed Nikana of the Corpus, which has great critical chance and great status chance. It primarily does slash damage, and since it is a Tenet weapon, you also get an additional status effect on it. Stat-wise, it is a fine weapon to go with full hybrid build, but you can also go for a status or critical-based one with ease. Tenet Livia also has two traits. The first one is being quite boring, and the second one also quite boring if you ask me. The first unique trait is a simple stop to combo multiplier reduction if you holster the weapon. And the second one? Blocking enemy attacks has a 20% chance to increase defense angle by 5 degrees, stacking up 5 times to 25 degrees. I do not know if anyone has ever used this, but I guess I have to try it out sometimes, because I never block. You can get Tenet Livia from Ergo Glast, just be sure to get the status effect on it that you want. Parados are the Zariman Tonfas with great critical chance and status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage. Their stats are at the first glance quite average, with very high attack speed. But that is not everything. The unique perk of Parados is that it is an Incarnon weapon, which makes it really good. I won't go into more details with it, but I will say this is quite good. You can get it from Cavallero on the Zariman. Inodem is the Zariman dagger with great critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does slash damage. While the attack speed stat and the range stat might turn you away initially, it has an Incarnon form which raises both of these things quite a lot. For quite some time, Inodem was my go-to weapon for disruption missions and Demolis because it has massive heavy attack damage. So yeah, it can be modded quite well. You can get it from Cavallero on the Zariman. Dual Keris Prime are an upgraded version of the normal Dual Keris, with high critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, they do slash damage, great against armored enemies, and are more critical damage centered. Due to its high attack speed and status chance, you can, of course, also go for a status build with this one, or even better, a hybrid one. Dual Keris also have a small unique trait that only works when you play as Korra, that being that heavy attacks have 20% heavy attack efficiency, so you will lose less combo multiplier. You can get Dual Keris Prime by cracking open relics. Tatsu Prime is an upgraded version of the normal Tatsu with great critical chance and high status chance. It primarily does slash damage and radiation damage, great for crowd control. It can be built for pretty much anything due to all of these stats being great. It also has an additional unique trait, that being, kills with Tatsu will give it up to 5 charges, 1 per kill. When you side attack, the charges will shoot out from the blade and attack the nearest enemy, proccing radiation status on them. And if you're playing as Revenant, you will get 9 charges instead. You can get it by cracking open relics. Cobra and Crane Prime are an improved version of the normal Cobra and Crane shield and sword. They have good critical chance and high status chance with primary impact damage. Due to high status chance, I recommend going for it instead of the critical stats. Honestly though, it is quite a good weapon to play with because of its base damage. Cobra and Crane Prime also have the same unique traits as the normal version. You can throw your shield while mid-air, knocking down enemies that are the closest to you. It is very hard to aim though, and if you're playing as Baruch, you'll be putting all the enemies you hit to sleep for a few seconds. You can get Cobra and Crane Prime by cracking open relics. Ruvox is an Entrati fist weapon with great critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does only impact damage, which makes it great against the Grineer. You can build this weapon in many ways, since its stats allow it to be very versatile, you just need to fix the range a bit. Ruvox also has an additional trait which transforms it into an Incarnon weapon, and its impact damage into puncture damage, and many other Incarnon things on top of that. But that is a topic for another video. You can get Ruvox from Disruption Mission Armatus on Deimos after completing the Whispers in the Wall quest, or by buying its pieces from Lloyd in Sanctum Anatomica. And that is it for Mastery Rank 14 melee weapons. Now let's go to not Mastery Rank 15 because there is none there, but Mastery Rank 16 to the one and only weapon in it, Tenet Exec. Tenet Exec is a corpus heavy sword with high critical chance and great status chance. Primarily, it does impact damage with another status you select from the shop on the side. Tenet Exec has great stats in every way, shape or form, which allows for quite a lot of build versatility. It also has a unique trait, which will make all normal slam attacks make 3 explosions in the way you're looking at when slamming the ground, and all the heavy attacks doing the same but with a wider angle. You can get Tenet Exec by buying it from Ergo Glast on any relay for corrupted hollow keys. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything for now. My voice is about to leave me because this script was 33 pages long. Damn, this is probably one of the longest videos I have ever made in one setting, so, you know, if you like this video, please click the like button. If you like what I do, please subscribe, and if you like Machete Wraith, please watch out for the heretics, because they are everywhere. Anyways though, I hope this was, if not anything else, at least helpful with your choice of melee weapons, but I know this video is not the best at showing everything because there's also stance mods, Archon shards, Warframe abilities, and so on. This is just a puzzle, a piece of a puzzle, in the whole grand scheme. So yeah, before I end the video, I am just going to say that I am working on a bit of a longer video than this one already, which, yeah, I'm not going to reveal right now because it's going to be long and I don't want people to anticipate it. So, anyways, I will leave you with that. There will be a lot of videos coming your way now. So yeah, thank you for watching, please like, comment, share, or maybe even subscribe, and also have a very nice day. Bye guys!